Got it. Hello, everyone. My name is Janine Ferrari. I am the Family Council Liaison for the Long-Term Care Community Coalition, the LTCCC. It is an organization, a nonprofit advocacy organization, and it is chock full of information for families and residents. So please check it out at nursinghome411.org. It's got information for every state, including New York. So you can find what policies and changes are going on in your state if you log on. You can also join, sign up for our webinars and our newsletters, which are so informational and necessary. So please sign up, join our list of subscribers and family members and residents that are already part of the LTCCC. I'm usually joined by my colleague and my amazing colleague, Gloria Murray, who had an urgent family issue she had to attend to today. So you have just me. A little bit about me. My father lives in a nursing home. He lives at the Veterans Affairs Nursing Home at Montrose. He's been there about 6 years. He has vascular dementia, and he is halfway through his journey in dementia. And, it has been a struggle. It has been an experience, a learning experience. I know many of the things, I'm going through many of the things that you are all going through as well. So I'm happy to share my knowledge and my acumen with you during this half hour and beyond, if you would like to work with Gloria and I to build and to sustain your family councils. It's not as hard as you think. Oftentimes when you are looking around for a family council and you can't seem to find one, you need to start one. And it's not as hard as you think. As I mentioned before, you will have lots more support than I had. And my colleague, my co-founder of the Family Council at VA Nursing Home at Montrose, Michelle, we started our family council in March of 2020. Between March and May of 2020, leading a family support group. And it turned into a family council, and we went from 15 people, family members, to 40 to 60, and now we're about 155 families on our mailing list. So it's worth the effort, and the residents always win. Today we'll be talking about family councils, forming them. Some of you had emailed questions, which I'll get to during this half hour. But you're also welcome to ask questions live and in the chat. I see some familiar faces on here. Hi, Janet. Hi, Vicki. Hello, Brian. It's good to see you all. One of the questions that we received via email was a really good one from Kathleen Rowe. She asked, what are compelling points to make with family about why having a family council will do more than an individual approach? I thought that was a really good, strong question to ask. As a group, you have more power than you do as individuals. One person complaining via email versus a few people complaining verbally makes more of an impact. And as an organized group, you have more of an impact to advocate for the residents and for your loved one. So I would say a family council is very, very necessary. And it's also by law, it's legislated. You are supposed to have one. Every long-term care residence is supposed to have one. If you have any questions about it, you can contact me at families@ltccc.org, but you can also work with your ombudsperson in your state. The ombuds program for the United States is really, it's effective. It's being built on and added to by our legislators. The one in New York particularly is very effective, and they are here to help you. I know some of our audience members today are ombuds people. Feel free to jump on and answer questions if you feel like you have the answer and you want to engage with our guest today. Any questions about anything? Any comments on what I just mentioned, how I answered Kathleen Rowe's question? Okay, if not, Another question we received via email was, what if no one wants to be a leader for the family council? Which I thought was a really good question. If no one wants to be the leader, you lead. Lead until you find a more effective leader. Lead until you find someone that you can pass the baton to. It's that simple. Leading is not hard. And it's empowering and it's fun. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about people. You learn how to be patient. You learn how to listen. It's all up. It's all winning. I would encourage you to lead. Right, Janet? Janet, you're on mute.
Yes, I'd say one way we did it when we started was we decided to be an executive committee. And over the time, most of the driving force, you know, when you get into this, there's going to be an ebb and flow of your membership. But you'll usually get a core group of people that you can rely on to split up tasks. And sometimes even after their resident passes, they'll feel committed enough to stay. And that also really lends validity to what you're doing as a family council, that you have people who hold the history of what you've tried to do in their minds, and they can back up attempts at strategies that worked or didn't work. But a shared leadership is probably ideal. And I would urge people to try to develop that and find out who's got the computer skills, who's got the graphic skills, try to just pull on everybody's strengths. If you have a medical researcher who, like we've been lucky enough to have, they can pull you out articles on different things like incontinence testing, and you can really use the people. They have more talent than they think or than you think.
Thank you for that, Janet. You're right. You're absolutely right. And that's a way of learning more about people too, that you wouldn't necessarily know otherwise. You meet a lot of different types of people in your family council experience. And I agree with you. A huge number of our steering committee for my father's nursing home family council are friends. They've become friends and colleagues. Their loved one has passed, but they stay on to meet the mission that we wound up cobbling together, the mission statement that we wound up building, and we need help on, and they have that institutional knowledge and experience, so they stay on to help further the cause and the mission. Thank you for that, Janet. Pam Smith, hello, you're New York State Ombudsman. Oh, Pam, I'm sorry, you were on mute.
There we go. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, I'm a fairly new ombudsman, volunteer ombudsman. I was certified in December of last year. So I am feeling it out due to, the pandemic. Things I've all gotten on Slack. So I am just now starting to get the feel, of the ombudsman. And I do believe that a family council is really, really needed. So I'm just starting to, just to gather information to get one started.
Okay, have you met any family councils that were already, or family members that were already on a family council at the long-term residences you've been visiting? No,
I'm only at one.
Okay.
So, and I have no experience as I haven't even observed a family council. So I'm really starting from the bottom. Well,
I would be happy to invite you to one of our weekly meetings, our family council, we have a weekly meeting at 1 o'clock every Wednesday. We started that in May or June of 2020, and it's gone on.
Okay,
And we frequently have guests just to either teach us, to learn from, like recently we learned about hospice, which we finally seems like we succeeded in getting implemented in my father's nursing home, which was much needed. But we have many guests, and you would be another guest. I'd be happy to share that link with you.
yes, I
And
would.
it's
I would-
every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So you can see what it's like and what the mood is like, what kind of questions people ask. It's very organic. But we find that meeting weekly helps us to keep all of the issues and situations that tend to come up so that we don't have emergencies and fires to put out by having less frequent meetings. It's
Right.
been really helpful for us. And we've made friends as a result, friends that I'll probably have the rest of my life. So we've won quite a number of, I don't want to say battles, but issues and challenges in my father's nursing home. So I'm happy to have you join us. I'll send you that link at the end of our half hour.
Thank you. I'll
Thank you
look for
for-
that.
You bet. It's a learning experience, and I'm happy to be part of that experience for you. Are there any questions from any of our other guests today?
Yeah, I got one. Hi all, it's Eric from LTCCC. So this program is about, all of our programs are about family councils and family empowerment, but this one is leadership and structure. And I've sat in on different councils before, but I've always been curious, like how do the groups find select, say, the president or the co-president or of a family council, and I know there's other family members in attendance, and that there's no one size fits all approach. So I'm curious if anyone's had experiences with this or struggles with this or successes with this, and it'd be good to hear about that.
I can tell you firsthand from my experience. I was really fortunate to meet Michelle Taylor, my family council's co-founder, and we have led our family council jointly with no issues about leadership or who's stronger, or who gets to do more, or any of that. It's been a blessing because we both know we started from zero. We were very, very fortunate to have really good Googling skills and curiosity. We knew nothing when we started our family council, and we've grown together as a result. We found that our we have different strengths, different things that we can count on to further our mission. Michelle is wonderful at emailing and communicating with legislators. I'm really good at calling and meeting people in person because I happen to live in Forest Hills, not too far from where my dad's nursing home is. And I'm on premises every week, and I meet family members while I'm there visiting with my dad and his friends. So we do have strengths. We do lead our family council together. We recently came up with bylaws for the first time, which I'm happy to share with anyone who needs help with bylaws or any ideas for bylaws. Bylaws just make you a little bit more feel official, a little bit more official. They don't have to be too formal. They don't have to follow any kind of structure. And it's something that you and your steering committee, no matter how many people you have on your steering committee, you could have 2 people. Everyone starts small, it's okay. But something that as long as you agree on with them, they work, and they can change, they're organic, just like your family council is. People leave, people join, people leave and then come back. It depends. Just be firm and stick to being a resident-centered family council, and you really can't go wrong. And work together with your ombudsperson. Your ombudsperson really knows about family councils and residents, and they're both, well, they're just as resident-centered as you are. And if you keep resident-centered in mind, you cannot lose. I hope that answers your question, Eric.
Yeah. And I'm again, if there's anybody else in this meeting that wants to chime in with their experiences about how they elected their president or their founder, it would be great to hear.
Trudy, I see that you're on, and I'm happy to see you. Are you there?
Hi,
Trudy.
Janine. I'm here. I am present and accounted for. Yes. Hi.
How are you? How is your family council doing?
Well, we are very small in number. We have lost one, gained one. We're trying to establish our, what shall I say? Not power, but our views and what it is we do. I'd like to say that we have a lot of cooperation from administration, but we do not. So that is our ongoing battle. So we're just going along month to month. We still have our 1-hour meetings, and that's basically where we are. I'm doing most of the legwork, and I'm learning as I go. And I so appreciate your help, Janine, with everything. You've been there. You're rock solid.
My pleasure, really, truly my pleasure. And I will keep on helping you as much as I can. You're doing great. You are sticking to your resident-centered plan. And you don't have to do all the work. I know it's really hard to delegate. I found, though, a really good trick to doing that during meetings is just plainly asking, pointing out that the things that have to be addressed, the bullet points for that meeting, either emailing or making calls or visiting someone, and just plainly asking, so who can help with us? And sitting in that silence until someone else answers. And if no one else answers, then you delegate.
Good advice.
Brian, can you take care of this? Adelaide, can you take care of this? Would you mind helping with this? Sometimes people don't believe in their own power, and so they're shy to come forward and to volunteer. But I have found most everyone needs to be needed. And a family council is really good at meeting. And making changes through those needs. So I'm here for you if you need any further advice or Zoom or Janine and Gloria time.
Appreciate that. We have seen a major change in the council attendees and the commitment to the council pre-pandemic versus post. So we're still getting our wings and our feet post-pandemic. As I said, just moving along month to month. We had a rock solid group for a number of years, and that's not what we have now, but we are hopeful that changes will come in a positive way.
That kind of attitude can only help. Being positive is huge. It's really huge. It's energy, it's positive energy, and it will help you. If your family council members feel the positive energy coming from you, it will energize them, and it'll keep them hopeful as well. It's a really important factor in every family council. And I can't lie, there has been times during our 3.5 years of being a family council where I felt down, and I was able to rely on my family council members to pick me up and re-energize me, and recenter me onto, what the mission statement is and what our goal is to make the residents in the VA Montrose nursing home make their stay there for the best time possible of their lives while they're there.
Wonderful.
So
Thank you
it's-
for that. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Are there any other questions or any other issues that anyone would like to bring up?
Janine,
Irene,
oh,
tell me.
I'm sorry. Someone else want to talk? I just thought that it would be really helpful for people to hear about some of the successes that you've had at Montrose recently, because they've been really remarkable.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Richard. I guess because I'm so close to it, I don't really see it. I can share with everyone here. We had been advocating for hospice for the last 2.5 years. Members of our steering committee lost their loved ones through the comfort care, utilizing the comfort care offered by my dad's nursing home. And while it's adequate for some, it left their loved ones suffering in pain during their final days. And it was tough to hear and it was tough for them to go through. So we advocated and we persisted with hospice. We did our own research. We contacted hospice services throughout Westchester. We contacted the hospice person at the Veterans Affairs all the way up to the top. And she came and she spoke to our family council. And she is still on our side. She's helping us advocate for hospice. And it looks like, as of our quarterly meeting 2 weeks ago, it looks like we finally achieved hospice starting July 1st. So we're really, really happy about that. I don't know that my dad will need it, but it's good to know that it's there as an option. These are people who are, they're skilled at someone's end of life experience. Why wouldn't I want them to help me in my dad's time when that time comes? That's one. I can tell you the first real and I think significant change that we brought about as a family council. We were being denied visitation rights for Father's Day of 2021, which was really important because you remember it was in lockdown. There were no real visitations in person. Visitation was done through a window. And for people who are either visually challenged or hearing impaired and have dementia, that was further exacerbated by being institutionalized and not having outside stimulation for a year. So we teamed up, we got in contact with Chris Glorioso, who works with NBC News 4, and he did a story on us, which I'd be happy to share with everyone. I can email you the link if you'd like to watch it. It's from 2 years ago, but his story, that news story, was significant enough for us to get Father's Day visitation in 2021 on Father's Day. And that opened up the door to more visitation and more of a, I would say, a dialogue with the administration. They saw that we were serious as a family council, and they had to recognize us as the de facto family council for the VA nursing home at Montrose. That was huge. We've recently advocated for and finally got, after 3 years, the opening of the VFW store on the premises of the VA nursing home. Many of the residents that are my dad's friends and who live there are wheelchair bound, or they can't really leave the premises, and the VFW store afforded them shopping for sundries and gifts and just items that are tax-free as their right, being a veteran living at a VA nursing home. And we advocated for that. We worked with the Board of Visitors, which is part of the governing body for my father's nursing home. And it's open. It opened this week. So we're really happy about that. We've gotten the atrium, which is the main room, open and facilitated visiting with residents who aren't necessarily our family members. Because even though you're not a family member, you can make friends with other residents who have the same shared experience you do. You may not have served in the Navy together. You may have served in a different military arm, but you live in the same nursing home, and you probably grew up in the same area. So you do have a shared experience. It's very cool to watch and very heartening to watch these veterans make friends and reach out to each other and grow from their shared experiences. Eric, thank you for putting that in the chat. That's the video for our news story, which was about 20 minutes long in 2021, which is a big chunk of time. It was significant for us, and I'll never forget the experience. It really helped us to feel powerful and like we were on a shared mission. It was one of the first real gelling experiences for us as a family council. Another thing we're working on is food. Many of the residents at my father's nursing home complain about the food, the nutrition, or the lack of taste. My father's nursing home uses a cook chill system, which is, I don't want to say archaic, but I would say there are other fresher, newer ways to provide nutrition, alimentation, and flavor to food. Many nursing home residents don't have anything but the meals to look forward to, so why not have delicious food served to them 3 times a day and healthful snacks provided for them 24 hours a day? It's something that we're currently working on with the administration. Vicky Kraftheffer, how are you doing? Thank you for wanting the link to the news story. Are you part of a family council?
We haven't actually gotten the family council up and going. I'm getting ready to go over and do one at a nursing home that my aunt just got moved into, and then one at my sister's. But I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It is a sunny, beautiful Thursday afternoon here in New York. I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for asking. If you need any help or guidance or advice, please feel free to call on me and my colleague Laura. We'll help you as much as we can. You've been in touch with the Ombuds program in where you are?
Yes, they're supposed to be getting helping me get with the administrator over there so that I can get a list of family members and things of that sort. So I'm going to be going back over there this coming week to get that, and hopefully we can get it going here this coming week.
I'll tell you a really simple secret, but it's an effective way to gather family members for your family council. Just take either write on a piece of paper in handwriting with your pen, or on a Word document in your computer, write down your name, the name of the residents that you're speaking of, the long-term care residents that you're speaking of, family council, and your contact information, your email and your phone number. Hand out those slips of papers to people that you are speaking to, the family members you run into. The consumer voice. It's almost like a business card, and you don't have to actually get business cards made. You can just do this on your computer. The consumer voice also has a really good brochure, a family council brochure that I wind up printing and handing out to family members that I speak to and come in contact with, because in very plain language, it speaks of the importance and the strength and the power of family councils throughout the country. I can put the link for that into the chat in a little bit. Janet, you have your hand raised. Janet Daniel?
Yeah, I've unmuted. Okay. If there is a celebration or an activity, or like Mother's Day, have those little slips of paper with you there. And that's where you're going to run into the most people. Ours started at a Christmas party in 2018, and we were all just madly trying to share through our phones the contacts, but it worked. And also speak to people in the parking lot. You can see who's hauling laundry. You can see who's coming out after a visit, and those are very effective. And I agree. Have your phone, your contact information ready. And those brochures are really helpful too. They really speak to the legitimacy. So many people have a fear that they don't want to rock the boat, or they don't want to be they think if they do this, they'll be thought of as causing trouble. And they don't realize that they have this actual right. But then also you would be reinforcing what Janine said earlier, which is you're so much more powerful together. What we had found out initially was that all of us, when we talked to administrators individually, we were being told, why are you complaining? No one else comes to us to complain. And yet all of us had been there. So just understand, you are each other's power when you start this. My other hint is, if you have someone that you trust, and trust is a big point, and that you think is really in favor and sees the good of family council, and they work somewhere in that facility, ask if they would be willing to be your liaison to administration, and then see if administration will be comfortable with that. And that might be a way to get you much more accepted in the facility you're in. That's it.
It's great. Thank you, Janet. And I loved working with you the last year plus. Janet is all the way from Alabama, and just a powerhouse. Thank you, Janet. I appreciate you. Irene Miller, you have your hand up.
Hi, so I'm a member of the Family Council at the same nursing home as Janine, happy to say. And one thing that attracted me was that I don't know if this is overall for nursing homes or just within the VA, but they are actually required to have one and to promote it and have a liaison. And this is described in the family handbook that you're handed upon admission. I just happen to be one of those people that reads everything that's given to me word for word. So that was the first time I was introduced, and it had Janine's contact information. And then also there's a quarterly meeting, which again, the nursing home is required to have by the state. So they actually send out a brochure or an email announcing that and where to sign up. And I have to say that when I received that and immediately emailed Janine and Michelle, the co-founders, it was late at night, and as many of us can relate to. And within 5 minutes, I had lengthy responses for both of them, welcoming, and, you know, it was just seamless. So see how the administration, even if they might be a bit reluctant, will help you out that way.
Thank you for that, Irene. I appreciate your saying that. And there's a little bit of background for that, for that seamless offering of family council contact. We had to advocate for them to include us in the admissions handbook. That happened in 2021. Only once they recognize us as the de facto official family council, thanks to Judy Farrell, our incredible ombudswoman, who was in our region 4, and she had to keep reminding the administration at the VA Montrose nursing home, there is a family council, and you need to recognize them. It is legislation. They are allowed to be, and you must work with them. So you're part of the process. Thank you for being part of our family council and for advocating so wonderfully for the veterans. Irene happens to have one of the sassiest, most charismatic 102-year-old men I've ever met in my life. He is amazing. He walks around, you cannot stop him. He is unstoppable.
Excuse me, that's my dad, not my brother or contemporary.
Exactly. That's your dad. He's wonderful. Pam Smith, are all VA CLCs required? Yes, actually, every nursing home in New York State is required to have a family council, every long-term care residence. And Pam, I'd be happy to email you that the Dear Administrator letter from 2004 dictating exactly that. It's something that I share with new family council members so that they can see, as Janet had said, that we are very necessary and that we are legal and that we have the right to exist. We're not there to invite retaliation or to fight. The word is advocacy.
Okay, because I am retired from the Batavia CLC, and they didn't have anything there. And I thought of, a family council or a family group would have been helpful. So I still have contacts there. So I can just pass that along, and hopefully, because they're a rural facility. So family members, some family members have a hard time to get there. So that may be some sort of a link to help those family members and those veterans. So
Pam Smith, I am so happy to make your acquaintance, and I have your email address. I'm going to email you because we have been trying to get in touch with the family councils at Batavia for the last 3 years. So thank you for saying that.
they do have a resident council, and I don't know I don't know if there is an ombudsman for that facility or not. Now there's there's the VA and then there's the New York State Veterans Home. Those are related, but they're not related. Nobody's been able to explain to me. They're kind of on the same campus, but just adjacent to. So sometimes there's some confusion with which one. So this is actually the CLC.
The way it works is the VA, the Veterans Affairs, will accredit the New York State run nursing homes for a year. They get the accreditation renewed every year.
Oh,
So the
okay.
one at Batavia is a New York State run. It's run by the Department of Health. If it's on the same grounds, that other VA home you're speaking of is a federal home. The Ombuds program is not
Okay.
recognized there because it's federal rather
Right.
than state.
Right.
It's the same thing. And I only know this because on Montrose, we have the same exact thing.
Okay.
We have a
Okay.
federal side and a state side.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yes. Richard, thank you for adding that fact sheet to the chat. Please, for everyone here, if you have not logged on to or visited nursing home 411.org, you've got to, because that is how our family council became so educated on our rights, on the rights of the residents, just by scrolling through and trolling through everything that this nursing home 411.org website has to offer. There's so much information on there. It's free. It's written in English. It's very easy to understand. And it's really beautiful to print out. I hand out many of the fact sheets on the nursing home 411.org website to residents and to family members, especially the ones for physical therapy, because physical therapy seems to be something that more people want than they actually get. And it's enabled family members to advocate for their loved one to either continue or to pick up again getting physical and occupational therapy. It's major.
I am I'm not licensed, but I'm still an occupational therapist that worked at the CLC. But I find that occupational therapy gets totally overlooked. Everybody's thinking about, well, can they stand up or, can they walk? But really, when you think about activities of daily living, there's, the public tends to overlook us because that's all about independence, personal hygiene, independent toileting, more independent with dressing and more engagement in the daily life activities, bathing, dressing, feeding. We're involved, with leisure activities, work, ergonomics. We also do wheelchairs and power chairs. Matter of fact, at the Batavia CLC, I was working in tandem with the Buffalo with wheelchairs and power chairs and more mobility things. So I would advocate the need for more occupational therapy. Is it quality of life that it gets under for therapy?
Yes, I
Okay.
think so.
Okay, because I wasn't involved. I know there was a change, but being that I was in the VA, I wasn't privy to that information. So we're kind of isolated in some instances. But as an ombudsman, that's another thing that I would like to push or introduce into the nursing homes. So
Pam, I can't wait to talk to you. I can't wait to talk to you. We're going to have a Zoom. I hope you're okay with that. I'd love to Zoom with you and Gloria, my colleague, because we have a lot of questions for you. I'm so
okay.
glad that you joined us today. I really am. Not personally and professionally.
Okay. All right, great. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, I've got your email address and I'm going to email you to introduce you also to Gloria, and you'll have my contact information.
Okay.
Janet Daniel, you had asked in the Q&A if it's your question was, is it VA or New York run? You said, is that requirement because it's VA or New York? Are you talking about,
The requirement to have a family council.
it's New York? But as Richard mentioned in the chat, all states are required.
Well, the way I read it, it's not required, it's allowed. I mean,
Right, so,
you're saying New York, it's required. I don't believe it's,
You know, Richard Mollett, our guru, is on, and he would love to answer.
thank you. So, I mean, both the family council and the resident council are totally up to respectively the resident and the family. So the facility involvement with both the resident or the family council is really based entirely on the residents and the families. And so the reason why I say that is because it's not a top-down thing where the facility says, okay, we're having a family council. They can't obviously force people to show up, and they should not be directing it. So the federal language really stems from, this is coming from the residents and the families. And one thing I think that Janine and Gloria can really help people with is to, how to navigate that in an easy, expeditious and effective way. But I'm not familiar with the New York State rules in particular, because the federal rules are so strong. So I can't speak to what Janine is saying. But in terms of just every single licensed nursing home in the country, again, that comes from the families, and it could be 3 family members. It doesn't require, it requires what you want it to require, and you could always build out from there. I know we're way past the half hour, but I would just say that one thing I thought a lot about in the work that we do, including, having this project, is that I think it could feel like a lot to people to participate in a family council, to get involved, or to build one. But it's really up to you, just like with everything else, what you all want to do. So it could be, a phone call once a month. It could be whatever. But as Janine, talked about with their accomplishments, it actually makes things easier. Yes, it's a little bit more legwork in some ways, but in other ways, you get things done for your residents. You're a more effective voice for your loved ones when speaking as a group. So it can actually, make things much easier. And that's one reason why, I thought it was valuable to do this project, because we want to facilitate, make it easy as possible family and resident involvement. So very long answer, but I kind of wanted to also piggyback on some of the things that Janine said, because I think there's so valuable. And one last thing, and I know we're over time, is that I think Janine didn't fully tell you how remarkable it was that they got hospice in their, and this is, again, the family council joining together, hearing from other families' experiences that their loved ones died in pain with what the facility would, and I've attended their meetings, and the facility administrator kept on saying, if you want hospice, you're welcome to get hospice someplace else, over and over again, someplace else, pushing them out. And the family saying, no, you're a nursing home. We want, hospice here. And they got that. They achieved that. And that was really, really huge. And it was countering some of the things that we often see that family members encounter, which is, a provider, an operator saying, no, we just can't do that. No, that's not our business plan. That's not possible. Well, no, there are a lot of things that are possible and actually are required if families and residents know to ask for them.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sandy Myers, you asked how to run into family members. I know we'd spoken about this before. We discussed it via email before. The only thing, the most effective way I found, and anyone else, please chime in, to meet family members is to visit on different days at different times. People, because by and large, many family members do work, they'll visit when they can, and you will figure out quickly what the best day is. But I love the idea, and it's a simple, cheap, inexpensive, quick fix by just writing down your contact information on a slip of paper or printing it out on a Word doc and cutting it up into little cards to hand out to family members during your visits. Along with that consumer voice family council brochure that Eric put in the chat. I found is to be just one of the most effective ways to advocate for the having a family council on the premises. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. So we're a little past time. So we're gonna wrap up. Before we do, I have a couple favors to ask of everybody here. One, and this is kind of relates to Sandy's question, is that the way to get family members is the best thing is word of mouth. So if you're a family member in attendance here, tell people, other people you've met from your nursing home, or if you're in a family council, tell them. We would love to hear their perspective. If you're an ombudsman, we would love for you to relay this information and our resources to family members. Again, what we put out there is the federal law, and the law speaks for itself, and that is that families are entitled to have family councils and to organize and to have that communication line with the nursing home to advocate for their loved ones. So that's favor one, is spread the word, email, Facebook, phone calls, whatever, or as a couple people mentioned here, just show up at holidays or busier times in your nursing home and tell people that way. The second favor is we would love your input. I'm going to put a link in the chat. You'll also get an email from families at LTCCC later. And this is just a quick feedback form. You can, we want to hear how we want to learn about your experiences with our family empowerment efforts, what you've perhaps things you've liked that we've done, perhaps areas where we can improve, or maybe topics for future programs. But this is about families, and it's about empowering you. And the way a way we can do that is we hear from you, both in writing and email and in these forms. So with that, my spiel's done. That's in the chat. There's a link to a Microsoft Forms. You can fill it out anonymously if you'd like. Of course, we also whatever information you can provide is great. And you'll get that link in an email as well. And Janine, I'm going to let you close this out.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone who joined us today. This will be posted on Facebook almost immediately. So you can visit it and watch the recording again. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell other family council members. Be inspired. We do this every Thursday at noon, and it's simulcast or shared immediately afterwards on Facebook. It's a good thing. What you're doing is a good thing, building family council. So please keep up the good work and count on me and Gloria for help. Just email us at families@ltccc.org and visit the website, nursinghome401.org. Thank you. Enjoy your July 4th weekend.